hate absorbed in the grid in large amounts. You're not a hateful person. But if you could open up the grid and analyze it, you would say, oh my gosh, there's a lot of memories that I didn't know I had. Your non-physical mind collects experiences on your behalf. It does not know good from bad, right from wrong, because there is no discernment in the aspect structure. There is none. And so it simply says, I'm happy, go after happy. I'm happy but frustrated, I go after both. It means you're supremely happy to go do something, but you don't like the shoes that you wear. Okay, so you all carry more than one emotion. Now, when you see news reports and a bridge has collapsed and there's cars on it, that's fear. When you see picket signs and people are talking about this atrocity or that atrocity, that's hate. When you see different things, the mind registers hate, even though you don't witness it, you don't notice it. The inner mind of people, it takes in everything. You could be walking outdoors and you witness a car parked, a person walking, a mailbox, a flower bed, and a green light. The whole scenery. That's what you remember the most. The mind takes in the height of the buildings, the length of the road, the depth of the curb, the height of the grass, the number of blades of grass, if you stand there for long enough. But it also takes in whether or not the car had rust, which is also hate, manifests because of hate. It takes in the emotional content for at least the last 48 hours in the air. It does a sweep and draws it in. And so if you notice rust, then it has already, in its sweep, acknowledged and drawn hate to you. If you see a weather program that says there's a hurricane coming, it's hurricane season, that's hate. Hate over millenniums of time create things like tornadoes and hurricanes. Whether we don't want it to be so predictable, because your weather patterns are emotionally manifested from global contribution. It's not just the here and now contribution, it's long ago history and the accumulation. And that's what this physical platform is all about. It's a challenge area. So when you have problems with your teeth, the grid has soaked in hate. Now the right side, it's I don't like over time creates such a quantity that the vibration amplifies and then amplifies again and amplifies again and amplifies again. So sometimes the mind brings in the wavelength of hate just by seeing rust. Rust is, but so is when your trees go from green to brown. You call it seasons. We call it accumulation of hate. Why do you have warm areas and cold areas? Well, because thermodynamics are designed such that they heal different kinds of things. Heat in strong quantities heals the densest of emotions. So we would say hot pack. Not for the swelling, but the swelling is inflammation. Inflammation is anger. And so everything that your physical body manifests, it is an absolute, it is predictable based on what you have in the grid. So we would use heat, but not boiling. We would say a hot pack, and then settle down, lay down, but prop yourself up, and then simply shift into meditation and feel the drawdown. Cracked teeth are, I hate what I just saw. So it's a visual crack. Chipped tooth, that worsened. Crooked teeth, envy, every single time. Gapped teeth, envy, every single time. But witnessing envy or having envy. So having envy is crooked, and the gaps are witnessing. So, people are bickering. What are they bickering about? It's not what they're bickering about. It's the emotion that they are using. But you don't say, I'm angry and I'm using envy. You just say, why do you go out all the time? Why don't you ever stay home? That's envy. And so, we draw it all the way back down to, you are in a physical environment. You're non-physical beings having a physical experience. You're in a physically preformed, both physical environment that is thick with historical thought of everything. Everything. When your mind jumps, it doesn't jump to a fragment. It jumps to a moment in time and witnesses the actual occurrence and then brings you back a fragment. But if you witness a funeral, then it brings back grieving to whatever degree that it absorbed in the amount of time that it did that jump. And so you mean human beings, all human beings, you gather emotions based on what your emotion is. And when you have psychic activity, that is psychic activity. Psychic readings they're not designed. Psychic nature of the mind is not meant to give people advice. It's meant to manifest. It's meant to be used powerfully alongside positive emotion. Because when you are using positive emotion, then your non-physical mind will go and draw that to you in the highest quantity. But still, over time, those denser emotions still do add up. And so we would say your tooth is emotionally based in those areas. Now, it's not to a terrible degree, but certainly we do see it worsening. We would have it looked at because your belief system doesn't allow you to fix things like a cracked tooth. It would not correct itself. Although the non-physical being that you really are could blink their eyes and fix it. But because you're in physical life, you don't have all of those aspects to do that specifically. But what people do have is, well, I really wish I could just blink and have it fixed. Well, what that does is it throws the thought out into the future. And then other people have the same thought. And so other people have the same thought that I wish I could fix this tooth using energy techniques. But what that does is it gives people more interest in energy techniques, but it also makes teeth hurt. Because the thought is in the air, the teeth hurt. Because you can't need a fix if you don't have something that's not broken. So we would say a hot pack. And then use some meditation time. But really sink into the humming and let your non-physical team draw negative emotion out. Now, if you really start to get curious about the cruising and the no thought areas of the world and vortex energy and things like that, well, then a great many things can be done to pull the densest emotions out so that you don't have continual. But as far as that particular tooth goes, we do see that it's going to be worsening. So floss gently. Mouthwash 2 or 3 times a day. That will be the most powerful thing that you can do aside from the hot pack, because there's such strong belief in it. But if you get a mint one, it'll work even better. So what can you do? What else can you do? We would say mint tea. It's hot, and also the mint. It's the mint itself as well as the green, and so mint. Anything more? Mint tea. Take a fresh sprig, fresh is the best, and just put it in some boiling water. Let it cool down until it's the temperature of your liking, and then sip on mint tea. Powerfully good for you. All right, we love that conversation.